السلام عليكم. لا تنسوا الاعجاب بالفيديو والاشتراك في القناة تشجيعا لنا لنستمر بنشر المزيد إن شاء الله.
The Apple iPhone 13 is finally coming with the upgrade that we all wanted to see, and I'll be sharing the details right after this. So today we've got plenty of news about the Apple iPhone 13, we've got plenty of details about the specs and hardware, and finally something that we've all been waiting to see. Before we get started though, please like the video if you're an Apple fan, and let me know in the comments what country you're watching today's video from. But the first story of the day is about a wireless upgrade on the Apple iPhone 13. While not the most exciting bit of news, it's still a great upgrade. After discussions with multiple Apple suppliers, Barclays analysts who have been the source of many past leaks have advised that the iPhone 13 is going to be coming with Wi-Fi 6E. Now Wi-Fi 6E is of course an improvement over the Wi-Fi 6 standard we see in smartphones today. Wi-Fi 6E is going to give the iPhone 13 all the capabilities of Wi-Fi 6, but result in increased bandwidth and less interference in the 6 GHz band. So in simple terms, it's better performing Wi-Fi. The Barclays analysts are also a pretty reliable source, and they were actually the people that first advised us that we're not getting a power brick in the packaging. Next up, we've got more news from the Elec, who have been another great source of iPhone leaks. They give further weight to the fact that the iPhone 13 is going to have 120Hz displays. Well, we had all this information last time and it just didn't happen. The leaks went wrong and it was close to happening, but unfortunately 5G took preference. With so many now reporting of 120Hz LTPO displays on the iPhone 13 Pro and the 13 Pro Max, it's looking very likely to be the next step for Apple. The Elec stated that 2 out of the 4 models launching next year are going to be using low temperature polycrystalline oxide, which is LTPO, and that the LTPO technology is needed for screens to reach 120Hz. Now of course the 2 models are going to be the 13 Pro and the 13 Pro Max, and it's great to see this happening. Now next up, we've got news of a feature that you've all been wanting to see in the iPhone 13, and while it may not be quite what you wanted, it's definitely an improvement. In the comments, everyone is wanting Apple to remove the notch, and as I keep saying, for the iPhone 13, that's just not going to happen. We had news from Ice Universe a while back that on the iPhone 13, the notch is going to be smaller, and this has now been further backed up by DigiTimes. The reason for the notch is of course to house all of the cameras and sensors on the front, and DigiTimes state that Apple will be streamlining the chip used in the front camera, allowing for a reduction of this notch. Now the smaller notch is also going to allow for a change in the rear camera array, so we're hopefully going to see some improvements there as well. We also had John Prosser saying that there are iPhone 13 prototypes with a smaller notch, and of course this is something that Apple have been working on for years. Now of course DigiTimes are not the most reliable source, and we are still at very early stages, so even if there is an iPhone 13 prototype with a smaller notch, then it doesn't mean it's definitely happening. We had prototypes of the predecessor with 120Hz displays, and unfortunately due to battery and mass production issues, it wasn't able to make the final product. That being said, going by all of the leaks, the clear focus for improvement in the iPhone 13 seems to be 120Hz, a smaller notch, and an in-display fingerprint scanner to bring back Touch ID. In 2021, this is all easily achievable, so we just have to hope that Apple can find a way to efficiently deliver this to the consumers. While we've got many concept renders and other people giving us ideas of what the iPhone 13 is going to look like, there's still plenty of time for changes, and there's going to be many variations of prototypes, but of course we're going to be keeping you updated as we hear anything new. For those interested in the iPhone 13 series though, we're going to run through each model to help you guys decide if this is the phone for you. For my regular viewers, you guys would have already seen this, so just jump to the next video, but if you are new here, then don't forget to hit subscribe, and we're going to get right into it. So to start with, we've got the entry-level model, the Apple iPhone 13 mini. It's expected to be a 5.4-inch iPhone with an OLED Super Retina display. It's expected to have a resolution of 2340 by 1080, and this is going to give us 465 pixels per inch. It's very unlikely for high refresh rates on the lower models, so expect a 60Hz display, but we should be seeing this shorter notch. With Apple continuing to prove that huge amounts of RAM are just not required, it should be equipped with 4 gigs of RAM and a choice of 64, 128 or 256 storage. We're expecting another aluminium frame to reduce the cost, although again the body should be looking similar to that of the Pros, and the iPhone 13 mini is going to come with dual cameras on the rear consisting of a 12 megapixel wide angle and a 12 megapixel ultra wide, and it will of course ship with iOS 15. For those that want the 4 gigs of RAM with 64 gigs of storage, it's likely going to launch at a price of around $700. For 128 gig it should be around $750, and for the 256 gig it should be around $850. Next up, we've got the iPhone 13. The iPhone 13 is going to have a 6.1-inch OLED display with a resolution of 2532 by 1170, and this gives us 460 pixels per inch. Again, we only expect this model to be having a 60Hz display and no LTPO technology, but again, it may have a smaller notch. We expect 4 gigs of RAM along with a choice of 64, 128 or 256 storage, and the phone should have an aluminium frame. We're expecting a 12 megapixel wide angle and a 12 megapixel ultra wide, giving us another dual camera setup, and the phone is going to ship with iOS 15. For the 64 gig model, we're expecting around $800. If you want 128 gigs, it should be around $850. For the 256 gig version, it should be around $950. Next up, we've got the iPhone 13 Pro, and here's where things are going to change a little bit, although we are expecting a similar looking device. The iPhone 13 Pro is expected to come with a 6.1-inch OLED display with a resolution of 1170 by 2532, and this gives us 460 pixels per inch. Not only is it going to be brighter, but it's also going to be using LTPO technology and provide us with a 120Hz variable refresh rate at a full resolution. We're not expecting any increase of RAM, as the A15 is going to be more than capable, so expect 6 gigs of RAM with a choice of 128, 256, 512 and maybe even a huge 1 terabyte of storage. Because this is the more premium model, we also expect another still frame, and on the iPhone 13 Pro we should be getting a quad camera setup. This is going to be a 12 megapixel wide angle, a 12 megapixel ultra wide, a 12 megapixel telephoto and a LiDAR sensor. The phone will of course ship with iOS 15, and when it comes to pricing, we do expect some small price increases with this new display technology, so we're estimating that 128 gigs may be around $1,050. For 256 it could be around $1,150, for 512 it could be $1,350, and if the 1 terabyte happens, then we could expect a whopping $1,550. Now finally, we've got the most premium model, the iPhone 13 Pro Max. The iPhone 13 Pro Max is expected to come with a 6.7-inch OLED display with a resolution of 1128 by 2778, giving us 458 pixels per inch. Again, it's going to be brighter. It's also going to be using the LTPO technology and provide us with that 120Hz variable refresh rate display. We can expect 6 gigs of RAM with a choice of 128, 256, 512, and again, if the leaks are true, then 1 terabyte of storage. Again, we're expecting another still frame on the iPhone 13 Pro Max and another quad camera setup. Again, this will be a 12 megapixel wide angle, 12 megapixel ultra wide, a 12 megapixel telephoto and the LiDAR sensor. Now the phone is of course going to ship with iOS 15, and when it comes to pricing, again we expect this increase, so we're estimating for 128 gig it's $1,150, for 256 gig it could be $1,250, for 512 it could be $1,450, and if this 1 terabyte storage happens, then we could see around $1,650, which is an incredibly huge price tag. So of course, with so many leaks floating around, things won't be clear until we get closer to launch and prototypes are made and hopefully leaked. As always though, if anything surfaces, I'm going to be sharing it with you guys straight away, but I'd like to know your thoughts in the comments. Who out there is excited for the Apple iPhone 13, and do you think we're going to be getting all of these features that we want? But thanks for watching the video. If you liked it, smash the thumbs up. If you didn't, hit the thumbs down twice, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
السلام عليكم. لا تنسوا الاعجاب بالفيديو والاشتراك في القناة تشجيعا لنا لنستمر بنشر المزيد إن شاء الله.